everyone, it is me, your favorite actor, the Hollywood assassin, Marc Chouen, here for another episode of Hollywood's Corner on Shot of Wrestling. Today's guest is someone that, he wows me in the ring, but man, he rubs me the wrong way constantly. We've had our battles on commentary when he was a guest commentator for a match at BWF. He is, one would say, the heart and soul of that company. Brother Greatness, how are you doing today?
Hallelujah, my brother. I'm blessed and highly favored as always.
I don't know what that means. I really have no idea what you just said to me.
Well, we'll have to do a full-on sermon to really break that down.
Wow. No thanks. Not drinking that Kool-Aid.
Wow. The disrespect continues.
Listen, come on. I'm in Hollywood, baby. I don't swing that way. Me and Tom Cruise, we're tight. That's all I'm saying.
All right, y'all need to cruise into the church, but let's carry on. Let's carry on, my brother. I hope you're well.
I'm doing swell, man. I'm doing swell. Listen, man, for those that don't know, honestly, I do have nothing but respect for you when you perform in that ring. Listen, the fans, they cling on to you for a reason. You know, you're a great personality. You bring a lot of inspiration to the fans, and I would say to the locker room as well. I think, what people don't realize is that you are a locker room leader. And, you do show up time and time again, and you wow the audience. And I'll admit, there are times that you wow me on commentary. But I think a lot of people would say in industry that you're an under-the-radar type of talent. What does that mean to you, and why do you think that's the case?
I definitely would agree with that statement. I don't know how many times I've gone and worked a new show at a new promotion, and maybe saw someone whose name might be a little bit more out there than my own work a match, and they're working the match against me or is the match before me and gets to see what I did. And I come backstage and they're just like, wow, you're really good. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. And then they pause and go, no, you're really good. Why aren't you working at the larger big name promotions? Why aren't you there? And I question everything. I'm questioning, is it because I put Christianity at the forefront of what I'm doing? Is it the wrestling style I'm doing? I'm not the flippy dippy guy. I fly around a lot, but I wouldn't call myself Mr. Flippy Dippy. The 450 splash has never been in my arsenal. Could be, but never utilized it. I question if it's because because of my start in wrestling. I was at Ludus. There's a lot of stuff that goes with that. BWF had a very poor reputation up until about 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know if that's because I have that connection. So I have no idea what the problem is. And although I'm famous enough through Christ, in 2021, I'm definitely going to change that. And I think a lot of that's going to have to do with the presentation of how I deliver what I'm all about. That's not going to change, but instead of it being more for the audience to be able to easily digest, I'm going to now make it more of an adult message, very direct and very easier to get you there, but not as easy to digest.
Brother Greatness, are we talking about a heel turn possibly?
No, we're not talking about a heel turn, any kind of turn. We're not spinning or nothing. We're just changing the way the message is going to be delivered, and I really hope people are open to giving it a chance. I think we might be able to touch a different demographic a little easier. I feel like women and children between certain ages pick up the message I'm dropping the way I drop it very easily. I think your typical 18 to 35 male pro wrestling fan, they might enjoy the work, but they're not going to cling on to it the way they're going to cling on to, I'm not going to just start naming random independent names here, but a lot of the other independent guys who are getting a little bit more traction right now. So I'm definitely going to try to change the way the message is being delivered, not so much the message.
Can you give us an example of something that you may do that would be different in 2021 that the fans should expect?
Yeah, the presentation of the quote unquote promo, a lot less of the smiling, the flamboyance that we've all become very used to, and a little bit more of a more serious tone, a cleaner package, something a little bit more modernized that people like to click on. so they have an opportunity to really be connected to it, as opposed to your typical 30 to 90-second pro wrestling right here, stationary, brothers and sisters of the congregation and a big smile, which is still near and dear to my heart and still the basis of each message for several reasons that might require a sermon. Everything's a sermon. Everything's a sermon. But condensing that message and transforming it in a way that I think a more mature audience might be able to pick up on. And in terms of the in-ring style, I can't really get too into that, but definitely more aggression. A lot less of the hit a move and make sure the fans are with us, because we want to make sure they gather the message, and getting more focused on the aggression during the match, and then letting the total of it kind of permeate into the fans' minds, and then create that connection of all this through God.
Right. Listen, like, I've called many of your matches, right? And, I've gotten to know you pretty well, like your character and the person, outside of the ring. And I have to say, when I watch your matches, and I've seen a lot of matches, and I have to say, the moment your music hits, the fans are with it. And we've talked before in the show about your music and the mindset that went into, making sure that music really fit the character. You're very much about the character, and the things you do in the ring. You talk about the flippity and whatnot. I wouldn't necessarily say that's your style. I mean, you can do those moves, but you do so with a purpose. I always find it annoying when I see a wrestler showing their athleticism, for no reason. It just didn't make sense in that particular spot. You do so with a purpose, and your selling ability is lights out. So you have that package there in it. I don't necessarily know what the disconnect is. I don't necessarily see it with the fans. Do you think it may have to do, and for those that haven't seen you are a smaller dude in the ring. Could size be a factor against you?
I mean, I don't think so in this day and age. There's a lot of smaller guys who are doing some really good things. Off the top of my head, Jordan Oliver, he's a smaller guy. He's put on some weight. He has more height, but he's a small guy. Casey Navarro just worked that big 6-man with him at Invictus in November Rain. Really great match with a lot of great guys. That's a small guy. Leroy Green is a small guy.
Leroy Green, yeah.
Hey,
we're talking about all-time great small guys. Rey Mysterio.
Ray, small guy. Amazing bloody red. Part of my French with the bloody, but amazing red. Small guy. It has nothing to do with size. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think my entire message was purposely set up, and we talked about this for the entirety of an audience. When you do that, it becomes very family centric, and that's what I wanted, and that's what I loved. At the same time, it's not the family centric crowds that a lot of the independent promotions are looking to hit. I think that's the issue.
It's not necessarily independence, but I would dare say that your style is more WWE friendly than some of the other promotions, I would say.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't necessarily know if that was by design or if things have just changed, like the landscape has changed. I mean, obviously it has quite a bit, but do you feel like the sense like, all right, my original game plan, all right, it may not be working today. Now it's time to switch things up. Is that the sense that you're feeling right now?
A little bit. I think right now the thing that I don't even think it's so much the fans, honestly. I think it's really just more promoters and the people who are really making decisions at a lot of places that are getting the traction due to whatever reason. I think the style that people are really getting engaged with now isn't that typical WWE style. Not that it doesn't have a place or a home or isn't appreciated, but I just don't think it's the forefront anymore. And if I have a message to get across, I need to make sure that I'm putting it in front of as many people as possible. And I think the way to do that right now is an overall switch, not so much on what I do, because I'm proud of what I do and I think I do it well, but the way I present it so that I have the opportunity to show it. What's the point of delivering this, of trying to deliver a specific message, or trying to get something across to people when I'm not getting to do it in front of a fair deal of people? It's very condensed. It's very condensed to who I get to work for and work in front of. And I've gone to several different states in the Northeast, but how do we boost that? And I'm already working on it. You know, I put a lot of thought into every little thing I do when it comes to the squared circle.
Very meticulous when it comes to this. But I'm not saying that in a bad way. I mean, it's very good. You should be. I mean, this is your company. You, Brother Greatness, are the company. You are the brand. You're the CEO for Brother Greatness. So, of course, this is something you have to spend your time on. You know, some people, they do it in the limelight. Others, I think the best ones, they do it in the darkness. You know, they do it without others watching. And I think that's a smart way to do it, especially now with this pandemic when things were shut down. I think I had a lot of people, a lot of talent sitting back thinking, how can I up my game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, a lot of people definitely took a seat. I know during the pandemic, me and Karen Bam Bam, Chocolate Greatness. That was the big thing for us during the pandemic. And, you know, and gaining weight was a big thing for me during the pandemic. I gained a lot of size in a good way. And people have been getting thrown. I can't wait. I had a match with Pinky Sanchez that has been recorded. That's hopefully going to be picked up by IWTV or High Spots or something like that eventually as a small part of a larger show. I can't wait for people to see that. That's definitely going to be a big first step in seeing that new style. But the added size during quarantine definitely made that possible. And there's no reason to stop pushing just because we're open. If anything, this is the time to push harder.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, as a performer myself, I've seen a lot of great actors. I would dare say better actors, maybe better trained, that honestly, what hurts them the most is they can't figure out their brand. And I book more, I make more money than they do because of the fact that I understand both facets of this business. You know, I understand like, hey, yeah, you have to back up what you say, and I'm good enough to do that. But I also understand the branding and the marketing side that goes along with it. Do you think that, like, you know, that could play a part into what we're talking about here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it'll be insane to think it doesn't. You know, I mean, honestly, that's part of the reason I'm actually diving back on Twitter a little bit more, because wrestling lives on Twitter. But
Yes.
it's a lot of that stuff, just building up that brand. I know what my brand's about. I feel like when people see it, it doesn't take much to understand where I'm coming from. I think sometimes people think that that you can't do much with it. I know I've heard performers straight up say, "Oh, great, this is cool," but how do you tell this story, or how do you do this? Are you able to cross certain lines? And then my question kind of becomes, the character, and we both know it's barely a character. It's just a Christian that's wrestling and the struggles that come with that. Why wouldn't that individual be able to tell every story?
You've told some interesting stories. Like, I've only been in BWF for a year before the pandemic hit, and you know, I've seen you in different storylines, and they were all very compelling. With Chris Cage, with Nikos Ricos, with Mantis. You know, each one was different. And they all eventually started blending in with each other, and it was really cool to see. And you kept with your character, but the storylines in itself were very interesting because all these antagonists that you're facing were very different people.
Each and every individual storyline, you see not only the way, you know, the overall story is cool, whatever. We're telling some entertaining stuff. I really wish more people were there at BWF to see it. Josh Glide and the Chris Cage story, you know, we sold out Daros for those ones. The Mantis story, the Mantis and Zemis story, and the Chris Steeler story, all that stuff. Not as many people had to witness it. But each one, you saw the way that I struggled with it, questioning my faith, being steadfast in the faith, but then becoming angry and being quick to anger, which is sin. Brother Greatness is never supposed to be a perfect character.
No.
It's supposed to be the opposite. It's supposed to show you that no matter who you are, you will struggle, you will fall. But if you have the intestinal fortitude and the faith to rise back up, because you have something bigger behind you. You don't have to be a Christian, but you have something driving you that's lifted in positivity, something greater than you are. What can't you accomplish? And even if when you don't accomplish, even when you fail, you're able to still pick yourself back up and say, you know what, that's not the end. That's not the end. That's not the end. One day I'm going to lose the Cruiserweight Championship again and won't get an opportunity to get it back. One day that's going to, and that'll be the end of that. but we're not done yet. Not done yet doesn't mean I gotta keep fighting for that. Not done yet means that my story in life continues. My story in the sport continues. All of that matters, and you can apply it to your daily life. Why would a character like this not be able to tell you every story? Both the let's have some fun and dance and come out and laugh and smile and get together and make crazy noises when someone does something weird to you in the ring, versus this is your life and death and life after death. The full range in an instant. And now the goal is to make people understand that without having to verbalize it.
No, and I feel like you do a good job as far as like you don't necessarily have to verbalize it. You tell a story with your face a lot in the ring, with your facial expressions and again with your selling ability. They don't necessarily have to watch the promos to see exactly what the story is telling. And I was always fascinated watching your matches and your storylines. They were the ones I look forward to see the most, to call the most, even though I'm the heel commentator, which actually made my job a lot easier too, I have to say. But you know, I have to say, I definitely understood why the fans got behind you right away. And I definitely do everything that you talked about, like the inspiration there, as far as, you know, your triumph, felt that 1000%. I felt it as a person, as a fan of the business, and as a professional. So kudos to you and what you do. You know, I do have to ask about this. You know, we talk about different talent that you talk about with the opportunities that they've gotten, some even signed, or you have opportunities at AEW Dark. You know, some colleagues here that we're talking about. With all that being said, what you said, what you're going through in your troubles, how does it make you feel when you see these people getting those opportunities?
To be completely honest, and this is just full honesty, especially if I know the people personally, first thing first is excitement.
Yeah.
You don't know what someone did to get where they're at. I've told because you know, me and Alfred Parr are very close. I've told Alfred 1,000 times. I said, listen, man, I don't know if I'm willing to do what some of these people have done to get signed, and that's not in a bad way. I'm talking about like people have quit jobs and just traveled and lived in cars, and you know, I'm just gonna fly somewhere and hope I get booked, and like just go to Australia and just fight. Like people do some really intense things for decades.
Right.
And don't make it. And some people have been pushing, and finally got their first break. So the first thing I usually think of is, yo, I only know part of this person's story, and they're there. Like people I was excited for that I know personally, like Private Party, that was great.
Yeah.
You know, Proud and Powerful, even though they had it already in TNA, like I was training with them in 2012 when they were EYFBO, and Santana was drastic. Like those are my guys. Like they're good. Max Caster, who I've always got along with, fabulous talent. He got picked up. I was like, yes, Sonny Kiss. Oh my goodness, seeing KC, even though I don't know KC personally like that at the time. I was like, KC, awesome, because I heard about Kid Christian back in the day already. Like Leroy, who's someone everyone in the area knows. You know, Bones was out there. Like all these guys. And my first thought was always just joy. My next thought is usually has very little to do with them. It's usually not the AEW Dark stuff I'm thinking about. It'll be like, what's some really good promotions in the Northeast, the VXSs, the Limitless Wrestlings, anything that shows up on IWTV. NEW, out in Massachusetts / Connecticut, you know, like all those places. That's where my brain is right now. It's like, what chaotic, like, what am I doing that I'm not there? And those are the questions people are asking, like, why aren't you there? When you reach out to those promoters, it's hard. You know, a lot of people are reaching out to them. Duh. How do you stand out? How do you get them to call you? And I'm connected with so many people at this point. It's like, well, why am I not there? So now I'm doing what I think needs to be done to say, hey, this is what I think we need for your promotion. Let me be that for you. So let me create that. Hopefully someone picks it up and I put it in the places where they should be able to. Accidentally make a marketing myopia, but that's what it is. And eventually when one person picks it up, everyone will pick it up. So that's all it is.
Well, Brother Greatness, I think you'll be surprised when you hear this. I am rooting for you. I hope that day comes for you because I think you absolutely deserve it. And trust me, man, I'll be spitting shit at the TV at you like the old days to make it feel normal. But no, seriously, man, you deserve it. And I can't wait to see that opportunity come because it will come for you. I know that. My friend, that's all the time we have today. Brother Greatness, where can they find you on social media?
Whew. Brother Greatness 2012, Instagram and Twitter. Brother Greatness Facebook page. You can find that real easy. Also connects to my personal wrestling page. Nice, easy connect there if you find it. Love it, but prefer if you stick to the like page. If you don't like any of the social media, you can hit a brother up on email. That's perfectly fine for me. brothergreatness@gmail.com. Pro Wrestling Tees /Brother Greatness if you're interested in any merch. If that merchandise is too expensive for you, please reach out to me via any of my social media platforms or the email, and you can get the original blue or black Brother Greatness tee. Doing it for only $15 anywhere in the continental United States, free shipping and handling.
And boom, there you have it. Thank you so much, Brother Greatness, for taking the time for joining me on Hollywood's Corner. As for everyone else, please subscribe to Shot of Wrestling's YouTube page. You can find us on anywhere where you get your podcasts every Monday, where we go over, me and Michael J. Puddy, we go over the wrestling topics of the week and review the shows. And of course, we have some wrestling guests as well. Thank you, everyone. In the meantime, Hollywood is out.